Some people don't know how to receive love, not because they don't want it, but because they never learned how. And the unsettling part isn't even that. It's that so many live their whole lives this way without ever noticing. Because growing up without love doesn't always feel like a wound. Sometimes it just feels normal, like nothing was missing, like that's simply how life is. And that's exactly why it's so hard to see. You don't remember it as an absence. You remember it as just the way things were. What there was, what you were given. And that changes everything. Because if you don't know something was missing, you also don't know what you're searching for now. But if you've ever felt that love makes you uncomfortable, that you second-guess it when someone treats you well, that trust is hard even when there's no reason to doubt, that there's always a part of you waiting for it all to fall apart, then this might make more sense than you'd like it to. Because growing up without love doesn't leave you empty, it leaves you programmed. Programmed to survive instead of to connect. And psychology explains this pretty clearly. When a child doesn't receive affection consistently, they don't just feel pain. They learn something far deeper. They learn that love isn't safe, that it's unpredictable, that it can vanish without warning, that it doesn't depend on them. And when you grow up holding that idea, your mind doesn't question it. It turns it into truth, and it starts building everything from there. That's why you become hypervigilant. You start analyzing things other people don't even notice. A message that takes a little longer than usual, a shorter reply, a tone that feels slightly off, a silence that wasn't there before. And suddenly, your mind starts filling in the story. Something's changed. It's not the same anymore. They're pulling away. They stopped caring as much. And you feel it in your body. That tension, that knot in your stomach, that sense of alarm that shows up without you being able to control it, even though in reality, nothing happened. But to you, something is happening. Because you're not reacting to the present, you're reacting to what you learned. Your mind isn't trying to sabotage you, it's trying to protect you, but it's doing it with an old map. A map that no longer fits the life you're actually living. And here's where it gets really confusing. Because even when someone truly loves you, you don't know what to do with it either. They say something kind, and it doesn't quite land. They tell you they love you, and a part of you doubts it. Not because you distrust them, but because you distrust what you feel. So you analyze it. You question it, you shrink it. Or you do something even more subtle. You take away its value. You make it smaller, as if that would make it hurt less when it disappears. Because deep down, there's an idea you've carried for years. This isn't for me. And you don't always hear it clearly. Sometimes it disguises itself as logic, as caution, as being realistic. But it's still the same thing, a way of not exposing yourself. Because truly feeling it would mean taking a risk. And for you, that was never safe. And here's where a powerful contradiction shows up. You want love, but when it arrives, you don't know how to hold it. You don't reject the love, you reject what you feel when you receive it. And that creates a pattern that keeps repeating. You move closer, then you pull away. You trust, then you doubt. You open up, then you shut down. And most of the time, you don't even know why. You just feel that something doesn't fit. So you end up retreating. And the other person doesn't understand it, but neither do you. And this is where everything starts to shift, more quietly. Because if you can't accept love, you start trying to earn it. You try harder than you need to. You give more than you get. You adapt even when you don't want to. You start thinking more about not losing the other person than about not losing yourself. You correct yourself constantly. You measure what you say. You measure what you do. You try not to fail. You try not to be a bother. You try to be easy to love, as if there were a version of you that would finally be enough. And you spend your life chasing it. If I do this, if I'm a little more like that, if I don't make mistakes, then yes, then someone will stay. But that moment never comes, because the problem was never what you do. You're not trying to be better. You're trying to be enough. And that's what you learned to feel about yourself. And no amount of outside effort can change that on the inside. The harder you try, the further you drift from actually feeling it. Because you start living for how you're seen, and you stop noticing how you actually are. And that's where something inside you starts to wear down, even when everything looks fine from the outside. You start getting tired without knowing exactly of what. You start feeling like you're always giving, but never quite receiving the same. And that creates a feeling that's very hard to explain, like something doesn't add up, even when you can't say what. So you start normalizing it. You start thinking that's just how relationships are, that there's always something missing, that love is supposed to feel this way, like something that never quite feels complete. And you get used to that feeling, to that small emptiness that shows up even when everything's good. And you stop questioning it because you have no other reference. You never had one. You don't know what something different feels like, something genuinely stable, something you don't have to analyze all the time. And so, more often than not, you accept less than you need, not because you want to, but because you don't know you could expect more. And when even that stops working, your mind does something quieter still. It protects you. You shut down. Not all at once, little by little. You start feeling less intensity, less emotion, less connection. Things stop affecting you as much, but they stop filling you too. You become more steady, but also more distant. And it looks like calm, but it isn't. It's disconnection. Because when feeling was dangerous, not feeling seems like the better option. And then something even deeper shows up, the way you start seeing yourself. It's hard for you to ask for help, hard to express what you need, hard even to identify it, because you learned not to need, not to bother, not to take up space, not to be too much. And so you do the same thing as always. You make yourself small. You adapt. You go quiet, even when you're not okay inside. And here's the uncomfortable part. Maybe right now you're understanding all of this. Maybe it fits. Maybe it makes sense. But that doesn't mean you'll change tomorrow. You might keep reacting the same way, thinking the same way, feeling the same way. Because understanding it isn't the same as getting out of it. But something has changed, because now you see it. And once you start seeing something like this, there are things you can't unsee. Small gestures, small dynamics, small decisions start to feel different. And that's uncomfortable, because now you know that not everything you felt was normal. And that opens a door. But it doesn't force you to walk through it, because in the end, staying the same is also an option. And a lot of people choose it, not because they want to, but because it's the only thing they know. Because changing means facing something you were never taught. No one taught you to love badly. They taught you to survive without love. But now, at least, you know something you didn't know before. That you weren't born this way. That this isn't who you are. That it isn't fixed. It's something you learned. And that, even if it doesn't seem like it, changes far more than you think.